Welcome to video 2 of a 3-part series sponsored by Warcraft Rumble. Today we're going to be going over 5 tips for new Warcraft Rumble players. And if you're not new, then maybe you can still learn something anyways, so stick around. With that being said, let's get started with number 1, leader choice. When you're early on in Warcraft Rumble, you'll be given a few different opportunities to pick up leader units, which are meant to be strong characters with special abilities to base your teams around. There's a lot of leaders to pick from, and you'll be given the options at random. What that means is that you won't be guaranteed any specific leader. You'll be given the option to choose one of 3, and you'll have to stick with that one for a little bit. When it's time to pick a leader, there's a few that stand out above others, but you wouldn't know unless you've played them or watched this video. Some of the best leaders in Warcraft Rumble are Baron Rivendare, Grommash Hellscream, Tirion Fordring, Rend Blackhand, and Blood Mage Thalnos. Baron Rivendare is a top tier unit for his ability to summon skeletons at buildings that you have control over. In a game where the amount of units you have out is everything, he's a top tier unit. Grommash Hellscream is another top pick due to how he enhances your other units with a movement and attack speed buff, but also because he's a pretty tanky character with tons of HP. Tirion Fordring puts the game on autopilot with a periodic heal to heal all minis around him. Rend Blackhand is a flying leader that is effectively 2 units in 1. He's got massive AoE damage on his dragon, and when his dragon goes down, he lands and continues to fight on his feet. Blood Mage Thalnos is a bit more controversial, as some players don't find him to be strong, but in the right settings, he is deadly. He has AoE damage, and for every spell played, he gains 1 level, making him extremely strong in spell-heavy decks. If you don't get any of these characters off the bat, that's totally fine, since you'll have lots of chances to pick up new leaders down the line, and honestly, the other leaders aren't even that bad. These are just the ones that I recommend to be some of the best all around and at the start of the game. Number 2, always have an Unbound unit. Unbound units are units that can be placed anywhere on the map. That means you don't need to have control of any space in order to place them, which lets you instantly zone other enemies or go for chests. One of the best Unbound units is actually one of the starting units, Safe Pilot. Safe Pilot is amazing because she's a lightning spell and a unit for just 3 gold cost. Her unit itself isn't super strong, but she can be dropped onto chests to instantly take them out if they're uncontested, and she can also destroy groups of enemies anywhere on the map once you learn her timing. There aren't too many Unbound units in the game, but it's mostly because they're too strong. Skeletons, for example, can instantly be placed to burst down enemies, and whelp eggs can be placed down most places as a sort of trap to stall enemies and bring out a flying unit. I like to put them by towers as a defensive line on occasion. There are also Unbound tanks that you can place to distract enemies. Another fun fact is that if you place an Unbound unit, preferably a tank, behind the main boss, you can get them to turn around and attack that tank while all your units focus on them from behind. It prevents your other units from taking damage while the boss is cleaving your Unbound mini, and it's a super helpful strategy to maximize your HP. Definitely abuse the power of 1 or 2 Unbound units in your team. Number 3, pick up tanks early on and place tanks well. Many of the starting units you get on Warcraft Rumble have pretty low HP and die super quickly. The game isn't so challenging early on that you need that HP, but having some tankier unit options will drastically improve your odds of winning. For example, if you throw down Darkspear Troll and you want to take down a tower, they'll dish out a lot of damage for all of 2 seconds. What you need to survive is to use units with high HP to draw enemy attention to them while your damage dealers all sit safely behind. Using tanky characters this way gets you more value per gold spent and can help you get ahead. One of the best tank characters in the game is actually Quillbore, but not because he has the most HP or does the most damage, it's because he has solid HP at a low cost. But on top of that, he's also an Unbound unit, allowing him to be placed anywhere on the map at any time, including in front of your units or behind enemies. They can tend to be pretty slow though, so you may have to put them a bit further ahead to draw that taunt. Earth Elemental is another solid Unbound tank, but tanks that aren't Unbound like Footmen are great for the multiple targets, and Harvest Golem is great for its ability Rebirth that gives it another life. Lastly, if you picked up a tanky leader like Grommash, he can be amazing to empower your nearby units and tank a bunch of hits. Number 4, get these huge upgrades. The grid system is very interesting because sometimes when you pick up a unit that you're interested in, you're going to lose access to other ones. This means that you have to pick up your units carefully. Well, I'm here to tell you that early on, you really want to aim for the green and blue upgrades on the grid whenever you see them. All minis have talents that give them some massive bonuses or features in one way or another, and the way that you unlock them is by upgrading them using Arc Energy. Since arc energy isn't actually the easiest thing to come by though, especially when you need more to upgrade to higher tiers, and also because you're new, and this is a video with tips for newer players, the pre-upgraded characters available on the grid allow you to get some gigabuff units very early on in the game. They can carry you long term and save you some arc energy farming later. Now for your upgraded minis, you will have to buy talents off the grid, and if you get too many upgraded minis, your entire grid can become talents. But with that said, those talents are incredibly helpful, and I highly recommend you buy them once you know exactly which of the 3 you want to be your first or which of the 2 you want to be your first and second. Talents really are a game changer once you know which ones are which, and taking advantage of upgraded minis will help you do a lot better. Don't instantly buy any unit that's green or higher just because they're green, but if they're a mini that you want to use, acquiring them early and already upgraded is super helpful. And number 5, control the gold mines. There are always opportunities to get extra gold from the gold mines placed around the map. They may not seem that worth it at first, especially since they don't start with the maximum gold count. But when mines have 2 or 3 gold available in them, it can cause issues if your opponent sends a kobold down that lane and gets a gold or 2 ahead of you. Since Warcraft Rumble is a currency-based battler, getting ahead on gold gives you momentum, and in a similar vein to that, denying your opponent gold prevents them from gaining momentum on you or catching up. You get it? In a similar vein, like gold vein. There's some nuance to this, since if you drop a 2-cost spell or an unbound unit on a 1 gold mine, you're spending 2 to prevent your opponent from gaining 1, which can put you behind depending on if they already had their kobold out or not. Most of the time, if an enemy is going for a gold rock with 2 or 3 gold ready to be mined, it's worth denying them that. If you want to really control the flow of the game without spending extra though, try to push your units through gold lanes to shut down enemy kobolds while playing the game normally. The more units you have flushing out that area, the less likely the enemy is able to get a kobold down and start stealing your gold. And once you have that lane locked down, you can really snowball the enemy and continue to put out more minis than they do for the rest of the game, which will ensure your victory, unless you play like really bad. And this can also apply to chests as well. Secret bonus tip. There's plenty of spells in Warcraft Rumble. The game is related to Warcraft, so it only makes sense. But what if I told you that there was one single spell that was so strong that it could be considered game-breaking? Well, I'm not gonna tell you that because it's not really that game-breaking, but it's pretty good. The spell Cheat Death is an incredible spell that you should consider picking up. It's an AoE that prevents your units from dying for a few seconds after they're hit, and though it costs 3 gold that could be used to summon another unit, the trade of leaving all of your minis alive long enough to take a tower or to defeat the next enemy wave or to defeat the boss is so worth it that Cheat Death can be considered one of the strongest spells in the entire game. This has been 5 amazing tips for beginners in Warcraft Rumble. If you enjoyed, make sure to like the video and comment your favorite unit so far. And also, if you haven't checked the game out already, make sure to download with the link in the description or the pinned comment. It does really help me out. Thanks again Blizzard and Warcraft Rumble for sponsoring this video, and I will catch you guys next time.